Greetings, everyone. Ken McAuliffe here, Stereophile contributing editor with Bill Voss, Technics Business and Development Manager, and we at the New York International Audio Show at the Hilton Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey venue. And Bill is here to introduce a brand new Technics turntable to us. Bill, take it away.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for joining us today. Always good to see you. And we're taking some time at this show to introduce, for the first time in the U.S., a new Technics turntable called the SL1200 GME, the Grand Class Master Edition of this turntable. And it's a very special edition. This is actually the ultimate SL1200G. This is the final version that Technics will make of this turntable, and it's been through many iterations over the years. And what we've done with this Grandmaster Edition is introduce some of the features that were recently added to our lower price models. Okay, like the SL1200 GR2 and the SL1300G. They had all have the coreless direct drive motor, and what happened with those turntables is we added something called the Delta Sigma drive system. And the Delta Sigma drive system, combined with a low noise switching power supply, combined to give us the ultimate control over rotational accuracy, as well as the quietest background that you could possibly have in these turntables. So that was implemented at a $2,200 price range and a $4,000 price range. And now the current model is $5,000 for the SL1200G, but this new model will have that improvement that I just mentioned, plus more. It's really, as much as it looks like a 1200G, this Master Edition is going to have some special attention to it that's much more than just a logo and some gold accoutrements and an escutcheon plate. It's going to have actually some circuit board improvements. It's actually a new motor. So there's quite it's really a new turntable in the same package style that the 1200 experience that everyone appreciates.
Let me ask you a question, Bill.
Sure.
Technics has been doing this almost longer than anybody else, and you're saying this is the last of the line for the 1200G series. Is it all about suppressing as much resonance as possible and noise, and how do they do that without just over damping the table?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so the first part is that although it's the last in the line of the G series, the Grand Class series, we've had, as I said, we had a Grand Class, we had an anniversary edition for our 50th year, we had an anniversary edition for the 55th year, and now that it's our 60th year, we're very happy to have this. And what's good about the concept, that although it may be the last G model, it won't be the last 1200 model. We have a 1200 Mark 7, which that's the tool of the trade for DJ these days, for DJs. And we have a 1200 GR2, which was the model I referred to earlier. That's the 1200 experience at a lower price point. And we have a 1300G, which has, generally speaking, the insides of a 1200G, but without all the pitch faders and 1200 experience. It's more of an audiophile type turntable,
right,
that appreciate that kind of look. So that would be the first part of the answer. But to answer the second part of your question is yes, this is what we certainly didn't just overdamp it, nothing like that. What we did was we looked at the performance of the motor. Although we improved all our motors with these new lines since 2016 with coreless direct drive, and we had excellent digital speed control over that. What we did was we found a way, and as much of the micro vibrations and cogging that was an effect that people thought they heard when they listened to a direct drive turntable, that was addressed by removing the iron core from the motor in the very first 1200G that came out in 2016. So what we've done now is we've added even more digital technology. As much of an analog device as this is, there's digital controls over a lot of the aspect of the drive system and the power supply. So
but no remote yet.
No remote yet. It can take a firmware update though.
Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not. So getting back to that the things that improve these turntables that I've been mentioning, and it's considered the fourth generation of Technics direct drive, by the way. As you may recall, Technics invented direct drive for turntables in 1970. And the story goes on from there. That's considered the first generation of direct drive. And then the second generation is well known as quartz lock with our SP10 Mark II and SL 1200 Mark II, the iconic look that this takes after. And then our turntable, the latest version, the third generation, excuse me, is the coreless direct drive that was introduced in 2016. Now we're into the fourth generation, and that's called Delta Sigma drive. So what we've done in those other two turntables have been added to this, and the idea is, plus a lot more was added. The idea is exactly what you mentioned, is to digitally purifying the signal that the motor is controlled by, this removes even more micro vibrations that, generally speaking, were not even measurable with test equipment that electronic test equipment. I think they use some visual microscopic technology to actually do this, and possibly CAD. I'm not sure about that part. But they did discover that they can reduce micro vibrations even further, particularly when you combine that control with the low noise switching power supply. That a lot of this technology came from our amplification, our digital amplification, and also from our SL1000, our reference class turntable. So there's been a lot of technology in use that was applied here. So these things are there. So when it's all working, the end result, and there's a slide that you can refer to in the presentation we have for you, that shows the micro vibrations in that crucial area. Actually, it's through a wide band, but where you notice at most a reduction in the crucial area between 7 and 14 hertz. And you can see the difference in the improvements in all these models before and after the application of the Delta Sigma drive and the power supply. So I think it was very easy to hear these differences when you applied it to a 1200 GR, or when you applied it to, I can really say that about the 1300 G, but when we applied it to the 1200 GR, you could really appreciate this improvement, and hearing differences in cartridges, and easier to kind of tune the turntable to your ear the way you like it, because the micro vibrations in that area are kind of key when it comes to compliance and getting the right azimuth adjustment and things like that. And what it results in is just a clearer left and right channel and image hanging in space, is the idea that.
If I may ask, I'm curious, off to our right is the new Technics SL50, a $900 turntable, the first below $1,000 turntable, which I'm reviewing for Analog Planet, the sister site, and the bottom of that platter looks so advanced. So I'm curious, have you all done things to address resonances or flywheel effect or whatever on the bottom of the platter of this new turntable?
So that's a good question, and that leads me to tell you some more about the other improvements. Like I say, it's not just improvements that they're similar to what we made in the other models I mentioned, but they're actually at a higher level, because, as I say, this is using a new motor now because of the improvements that they made. It's considered a new motor.
Brand new motor.
Yeah, well, yes and no. It's still a twin rotor coreless design, but the improvements that they made to the circuit board, and they use different screws now,
wow,
non-magnetic screws and certain, all these little things.
Non-magnetic screws makes a difference?
Well,
sonically?
You probably can't hear that
Wow,
difference,
but they can measure it.
When you put all these improvements together, okay, you're going to appreciate the end result. And what's happening is those improvements were taken from the SL1000, so they could appreciate what was done there. That's our flagship turntable.
Wow.
And when they're all combined with the magnesium tone arm and the build quality in this turntable, they had to do a little bit, in my opinion, they had to do a little bit more to make this as apparent, because this was already such an incredible turntable, very well fortified in terms of, you asked about the platter, so it's the same three-layer platter, which is a layer of brass, aluminum die cast, and very heavyweight rubber, and weighs like 7 pounds, 7.9 pounds. So the improvements didn't really the platter didn't have to change, but the motor did change to adapt, because remember I mentioned in that 1200 GR2, when we made that improvement, it was kind of easy to hear that, because the turntable didn't have a 3-layer platter, it didn't have a 4-layer plinth, it didn't have zinc footers, it didn't have A-gel in the footers. So it was a easier turntable to hear those differences, because those improvements were very apparent. So when you had such a great award-winning turntable to begin with, I think they needed to look into other areas that they wanted to improve as well, to make sure that it really was the ultimate effort.
You had when I was here the other day, you had example of the footer. So it has new A-gel and new type of zinc in it?
Well, the footers are made of zinc rather than metal in some of our other models. So the zinc is very inert, it's very heavyweight, and they can all be adjusted. And like the SL1000, I think like our earliest 1200 GAE anniversary edition, the gel that's in the footer is slightly different than the standard models. So it's designed to, I'd have to dig it out of my bag. I didn't think about that. We have the whole, I can show you all the parts and pieces if you like, even a motor. But getting back to that design, what they've also done with this turntable is they redesigned the circuit board itself. So in addition to the motor improvements, double-sided circuit board to the motor, reinforcement pattern to the motor, the circuit board is now, it's like a four-layer layout. Okay, they're different, and they position parts of the circuit board in different areas so that it's dedicated to do its job best. I can't really tell you exactly why this is there or that's there, but it's designed, there's a Delta Sigma drive section. It's an actual chipset that goes in there. There's a control board for the motor, there's a power supply board, and there's a noise reduction circuit. So all these new circuitry has been created and laid out in a different way, so that it improves the entire signal process flow is now under complete control in a better way than it was before. And I think when you finally ultimately hear this and spend some time with it, I've had it for a couple of weeks and just beside myself, it just yields everything that you could ask for, I think, what a turntable can offer, and allowing a wide range of cartridges, interchangeable head shells. The VTA adjustment is what Technics is famous for, to be able to accommodate a wide range of cartridges, head shells, and weights, and different weights and thicknesses of vinyl, and different platter mats. So very, very easy. By the way, as much technology is in this table, I could set it up for you quick in 15 minutes and you'd be enjoying it. So it's just not a fussy outcome, with everything that's in here. It's designed to make it just a breeze. And for those that do want to tweak it and dial in all their different geometries and all that, it's very easy to do that as well. So
what cartridge is on there at the moment?
We're using a Nagaoka. This is their new MP700. It's an award-winning cartridge by the ISO award recently, and we love the sound of it. It just seems to be a great accompaniment to this turntable. I think it retails for around $1,500 for the cartridge. And
that's the MP700.
Yeah, they make a nice line of cartridges.
They sure do.
It's a moving permalloy type. It's a little bit different, but it fits into the moving magnet type phono preamps. And it has a boron cantilever and micro ridge stylus. So it really gives us incredible separation. And I don't know, I haven't measured it and I haven't been able to see that, but I've read that they're getting up to like 40 dB channel separation on the midband in the higher range, and maybe that's what I'm appreciating so much. And with that cartridge in this turntable, with all the benefits that I mentioned about, you can see in the slide that I show you that it's not just that 7 to 14 hertz range that the micro vibrations have happened in. It's all through the entire range up to, say, 10,000 hertz or 1,000 hertz. So the performance of this, you can see the improvements in a wider range as well. And like I say, it's not all coming from just the motor control or the coreless drive or the power supply or the different circuitry layout, or it's a combination of everything. It's very well orchestrated, and to me it's the ultimate instrument in this series ever, and it will be the last one, as I mentioned. And it, as a limited edition, it will be available in 1,200 units in silver globally, and 1,210 units in black globally, and they'll be numbered, limited number edition. And if you want to bring the camera closer, I can show you some of the special features on here. As far as it'll have a scutcheon plate that says Master Edition, and I'm one of 1,200, and the Technics logo is now etched in gold. The head shell is Techniques in gold, and the tone arm is gold as well.
Bill, so you mentioned the price is yet to be announced on the new Master Edition turntable?
Yeah, this is more of a unveiling than a launch, like most of our other models, like that SL50 you learned about. The product will be delivered in January, February of early next year, but we are still in the process of pricing it. The current model, I think I mentioned, is $5,000 for the standard G model, but this is going to be upwards of that, and it will be, being a special edition, as I mentioned, it will have a limited number, and it'll be one of 1200 or one of 1210, depending on which model you got, black or silver. And it'll have this gold tone arm, gold painted tone arm, which is magnesium, as always in the G series, in the 1200G. And this is actually engraved into this is logo in gold engraved into the aluminum. This top plate is aluminum. And now we have gold Techniques in gold on the head shell as well. And one new feature which we had in the earlier version of the 1210, it was called the anniversary edition, the 55th anniversary edition, was the ability to turn off the strobe. Some people didn't like that extra light on when they listened. They wanted to turn that off. So if you hold the X2 button down for 5 seconds, the strobe will turn off.
I've been wondering for a couple years what that button does.
Well, that's how you turn off the strobe on this turntable.
I thought that affected the speed somehow.
It does, but it's a dual function. As long as the turntable is not in motion, you can do that. So if it's rotating, you can't. It's a different button.
Huh.
So in other words, when it's rotating, I have control over the pitch, plus or minus 8%. When I push that button, now it's plus or minus up to 16%.
Oh.
And truthfully, what it comes down to, I think, is since we have 33, 45, and 78, I think if you maxed it out and minimized it, I think the turntable can go from 20 RPM to 90 RPM, which is kind of cool.
Which other of your recent tables have 78?
All our turntables have 78, actually, even the SL50. And the way to get it is you just hold down both buttons and hit start, and you got 78. And it's up to speed already. So yeah, we kept the target light. All the 1200 accoutrements are here. The whole 1200 experience that you've had. High quality dust cover. This is a smoked plastic dust cover, very high quality with a bubble there. This is the iconic look that was designed to accommodate the wide range of VTA, which you have on a fly. If you get really good at this, you can actually adjust it while you're listening. You got to be really good to do that. It's a nice feature. People love the VTA adjustment and just the customization of it. You can change cables, you can change footers, you can change head shells, you can suit up for a stereo cartridge, a mono cartridge, a 78 cartridge, and have them all. As long as they're same weight, you can change in 10 seconds. You can be ready to play any of those. Some other turntables that don't have interchangeable head shells, you might be looking at an afternoon just to get a mono cartridge on there. So,
anything different about this mat?
It's the same mat we've always used. We love that mat, and you can appreciate.
Look at that.
This is how beautiful these turntables are, and through these holes, you don't have to take the platter needs to be secured, by the way, with 3 washers, 3 Belleville springs, and 3 screws because of such high torque. If those weren't there to secure it, that motor's literally turning that platter. You would hear a little bit of a clink. So they asked to secure that. That's the first thing you're going to do when you set up your turntable after you level it. And then through these holes, you can adjust the torque for high torque or low torque. You can adjust the braking for high braking or low braking, or you can just set it on automatic and let the factory controls adjust that. I change it from time to time. You can. Some people say you can hear a difference. It's subtle. I leave it in the factory automatic mode myself. But
I had asked you the other day, and I asked you how many engineers at Technics work on these turntables.
Well, I don't know exactly how many work on the turntable itself, but a lot of it is a handmade process, particularly the platter.
Wow.
But if I could flip the platter and turn it over, it's in the slides. It's actually, each platter is hand balanced, and it gets a sticker on there.
Wow.
To prove that it's hand balanced. You might see some drill holes or some scuff marks to the underside of the platter because they're shaving it down that aluminum on a machine to make sure it's and as you spin this, it's just perfection. If you see anything unusual, you might not have the speed control adjusted, and everything is designed to sync up exactly with these strobe etchings on here, and they coincide with 33 and 45 and 50 hertz and 60 hertz. So And then you'll see the changes when you adjust the pitch fader and things. So it's a very, and this target light is just great in a dark room when you want to see where to drop the stylus. It's all part of that original 1979 Mark II design that evolved into this ultimate version and the Master Edition.
Beautiful. Well, I think my colleague Tom Fine is hoping to review this for Stereophile.
Wow. That's
So, and as I said, I'm reviewing the SL50 for Analog Planet, which, well, read the review there to find out about that.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you, Ken, for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the show.
You too.
We'll be watching you.
Take care.